Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadanti Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parjana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vidam Sha Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Apta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Budale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidnamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Om Tat Sat. Welcome all the devotees for today's Bhagavad Gita class. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, text 6 and 7. Mahabhutani hankaro buddhiravyaktam evacha indriyani dasaikam cha panchachendriya gochara ichha dvesha sukham dukkham sangatas Chetana dhridi edat kshetram samasena savikaram udahridam. Sachi Mataji.
Mahabhutanyahangaro buddhiravyaktamevacha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriya gocharaha Icha dvesha suham dukkam sangataschetana tritihi edat kshetram samachena savikaram udahritam.
Tarini Mataji, translation please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The five great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the five sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions.
Very good. The five great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind. The five sense objects: desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So Krishna is explaining what are the field of activities and its interactions. So all the elements, especially the 24 elements and plus other such as desire, hatred, happiness, distress, and the life symptom, the conviction, the interaction, everything. So all supposed to be the activities, the field of activities and its interactions. From all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns, and the aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the five gross elements, as we all know. Okay, Panchabhuta. These are the five great elements, Mahabhuta or Panchabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of three modes of nature. Okay, so then false ego, intelligence, and three modes of material nature. Then there are five senses for acquiring knowledge. Okay, Jnanendriya, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Then the five working senses: voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Okay, that is the Karmendriyas. Then above the senses, there is the mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses together. Then there are 5 objects of the senses: smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. So corresponding to the 5 senses, the indriyas. Okay, these 5 sense objects are corresponding to the 5 indriyas or 5 senses. Now the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. So, this is a field of activity. So in this material world, apart from this 24 elements, you will not find anything else. Everything is directly or indirectly connected to these 24 elements. Nothing beyond that. So this is also given by Kapila Dev to Devudi, his mother. Kapila is incarnation of Lord Krishna only, and is instructing the Sankhya Yoga, the analytical study, okay, to his own mother, Devudi. So in detail, this is given in that Srimad Bhagavatam also. Okay, then there are, so it's okay. Then there are 5 objects of senses: smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 subjects, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, distress, which are interactions, representations of the 5 great elements in the gross body. So, hatred, happiness, distress, these are all interactions, in relationship with the 5 great elements of the gross body. The living symptoms are represented by consciousness, and convictions are manifestations of subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. Subtle elements are included within the field of activities. Subtle elements are also included within the field of activities. Okay, the life system symptoms represented by consciousness. The life symptom is there. Why? Because of the presence of the soul. The moment soul leaves the body, the body is there. All the parts of the body are there. Okay, the senses are there, sense objects are there, everything is there, but no consciousness. We say that he is dead or she is dead because the soul has left the body. Only when the soul is there, consciousness will be spread throughout the body because of the presence of the soul. If the soul leaves, it is just matter only. This matter becomes alive. It has life only when the soul is there, because soul spreads the consciousness throughout the body. So the 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego. Because of false ego only, we are getting this body, which is made up of 5 gross elements. Why false ego? Because we think we are the doer. It is everything is for our enjoyment. I am the boss, I am the proprietor, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. When we come in, in this understanding, then we get this body. Otherwise, we have Satchidananda body. Here, only our soul is Satchidananda, but the body is made up of matter. So, because of false ego only, we have this body. Okay. So, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called the materialistic conception, or tamasa buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of material nature. So, from false ego manifests, the 3 modes of material nature. First, false ego manifests from false ego, the 3 modes. What is that? Sattva, Raja, and Tama. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called Pradhana. Okay. So the Pradhana is the unmanifested material nature. So you must have heard this word Pradhana. Pradhana is in the spiritual sky portion that is unmanifested. So when the Mahat Tattva is manifested, then it's called material nature. So in the unmanifested stage is called Pradhana. Manifested stage is called nature or material nature. So in the manifested stage, the false ego is there, and from false ego, the three modes of material nature comes, and from there comes all other material elements one by one. In the five gross elements comes in the hierarchy. From sound comes ether. From ether comes air. From air comes fire. From fire comes water. From water comes earth. Like that. Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu in that hierarchy. So the grossest of the five elements is earth. In earth, everything is there. In sound, ether is there. From sound only ether comes, right? From ether comes the air. And from the air comes fire, then water. Okay, like that. This is how it is. So earth possesses all this, everything is there. It's the grossest. The subtlest is the sound. From sound comes ether, like that. So this is how it is. So like that, this material world is manifested as per the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, he impregnates the living entities in this material world. First, he enters in each and every universe. The Lord enters as Garbhodaya Vishnu, and he impregnates the material nature by glands. That glands is carried by who? Who carries that glands? Who carries the glands?
Lord Shiva, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Lord Shiva. That's why, in a way, in the material world, he is also our father. And he carries the glands, and that glands is impregnated in the mother nature, that is Parvati, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. So like that, Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva becomes our mother and father. He is the universal mother and father from that perspective. But originally, Vishnu is our Supreme Father. In the material world, he becomes an instrument in impregnating all the souls into this material world. Okay, so as per the karma and the desire that we had in the previous manifested stage, okay, when it becomes unmanifested, we all go into the abdomen of Vishnu. Okay, so again manifestation comes, the recreation is required. When the recreation is required, so this is what exactly happening. So Lord Shiva is made instrumental to take the glands of that Mahavishnu to impregnate the material nature, and that material nature represents Mother Parvati. So Lord Shiva and Parvati are our immediate father and mother, but ultimately our Supreme Father is Lord Vishnu. Okay. So the unmanifested modes of material nature are called Pradhana. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail, along with their interaction, should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, a summary only is given. So those who are interested should study the Sankhya philosophy given by Lord Kabila to Mother Devadi, the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In detail, the Sankhya philosophy is given. There is another Kapila, who is an atheistic Kapila. He also explains, but without accepting Lord Krishna or Vishnu as a supreme. So he only explains about the material elements without accepting the Lord or without detailing. So that is an atheistic Kapila. So we should not mistake that Kapila to be this Lord Kapila. So that's a atheistic philosophy. That he also analyzes these material elements, but that's not spiritual. That is material. So the body is a representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body which are 6 in number. We know it, Shat Parinama. Okay, the birth, the growth, maintaining it, byproduct, dwindling, and then vanish. So these are the 6 transformations that happens from the time that we come into this world till the time we leave the body, within this body. Okay, so these are the 6 transformations. Shat Parinama. So it is born, that is one. It grows, it stays for some time, it maintains some. It produces byproducts and it begins to decay, dwindles, and at the last stage it vanishes. Death. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, its proprietor is different. So field has a time period, time span. From birth till death, there is a particular time allotted to that field of activity. So it has a beginning, it has an end. But the occupier or occupant of that field of activity, or in other words, the soul, doesn't undergo these changes. Okay. So the soul is different from the body. That is what it teaches us. So the Kshetrajna, the knower field, or its proprietor is different from the Kshetra. Kshetra is a field of activities. It has a beginning, it has an end. Okay, but the occupant of the body, the soul, or the knower of this field, the proprietor, is different from that of the body. Hare Krishna. So, any comments or any questions? Yes. Next. Anything, any comments or any, somebody want to share? Okay, then we'll go to the next sloka, that is 8 to 12. 4 slokas. Okay, let's see. Amanitvam madambitvam ahimsa kshatirarjavam acharyopasanam saucham sairyam atma vinigraham indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadi dukha doshanu darshanam asaktir anabhishwanga putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्य योगेन भक्तिर अव्यभिचारिणी विविक्ता सेवित्वम् अरतिर्जना संसदि अध्यात्म ज्ञान नित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थ दर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानम् यददो अन्यथा. Mayuri Mataji and Parag Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Amanittam adambitvam ahimsa shanti arjavam acharya upasanam shaucham sthairyam atma vinigraha indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha dosh anudarshanam asakti anabhishbanga putradagrah adishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishta anishta upapattishu mayi cha ananya yogena bhakti avyavicharani vivikt desha sevitvam arati jana sansadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnana artha darshanam etat jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yat ath anyatha.
Very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji translation. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching to a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, death, old age, disease, detachment, freedom from the entanglement with children's wife, home, and the rest. Even mindedness, pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unallied devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of the self-realization and philosophical search of a absolute truth. All these I declare to be the knowledge and decide that whatever there may be is ignorance.
Very good. So Lord Krishna is giving elaborate, on the subject of what is knowledge and what is not knowledge or ignorance. So what are these? Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. Okay, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest. Even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be as is ignorance. So whatever we are taught in this material world, except all what we have said, they are taught, isn't it? So all what we are taught in this material world is except these items. Everything is ignorance. Everything is ignorance. Mostly, isn't it? So if this is called Vidya, okay, this is called Vidya. Vidya is not taught in the regular school or college or universities. It is material education. It is material education only. How we can compete with others, how we can pull down somebody and sit on top of him or her, how we can outshine others, how we can compete with others and take their position, even by hook or crook. So these are the things that we are taught, especially in the current stage, isn't it? In the school, in the colleges, this is actually how we can make money by cheating, how we can fool others and make money. So these are the things that we are taught in this. These are all called avidya. Just for the sake of our survival. Not only for survival we can still understand. For gratifying our senses more and more, we tend to do all these activities which are on the platform of ignorance. That's called avidya. Avidya is okay, is material, material knowledge, but that is even if that is acquired, we should use it in the right way. But here in the present age, we are using all these things just to only for our gratification. Others should not. I want to become happy, but I don't want to see others happy. Material knowledge is fine. Okay, we can acquire material knowledge as long as we use it in the right way without disturbing others. But here in the present time, I want to become happy, but I don't want to see others happy. So I will see to that others doesn't become happy at any cost. So that is my prime, motto. Even if I don't become happy, it's fine, but I don't want others to become happy. Somehow or other, I want to stop that. So this is called enviousness, jealous, all these things. But here Lord Krishna is giving all these characteristics of a person who is in knowledge. So what is knowledge? So all these characteristics, all these items he has given. There are so many, I don't know how many items are there. So all these I declare to be knowledge. So as in that he has mentioned approaching a bona fide spiritual master. Why? Because only when we approach a bona fide spiritual master, we'll get the right knowledge to get out of this material world. Without a spiritual master's guidance, we won't attain what we are supposed to attain. We won't attain perfection in this human form of life. So let's see in the purport. This process of knowledge is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent man as being the interaction of the field of activity. But actually, this is the real purpose of knowledge, real process of knowledge. If one accepts this process, then the possibility of approaching the absolute truth exists. Otherwise, it is not possible. See, if you want to attain the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, you should have this knowledge. If you don't know what is the purpose of this human form of life, then how do we attain perfection in this human form of life? So we should know the purpose of human life, and we should know to attain that purpose, we should approach a bona fide spiritual master and follow a certain process. So this is not the interaction of the 24 elements as described before. This is actually the means to get out of the entanglement of these elements. Now we are stuck in this material world within the interaction of these material elements using the field of activities, that is the body. So to get out of this entanglement of the material elements and to attain the Supreme Lord's lotus feet or the Supreme Lord's abode, we should have this knowledge. So these are the knowledge that is given by Krishna. That is the right knowledge one should acquire, and by approaching a bona fide spiritual master, by following the guidance that he has given to us, we will be able to achieve that. The embodied soul is entrapped in by the body, which is a casing made of the 24 elements. The process of knowledge, as described here, is the means to get out of it. So this body is a casing, just like the parrot is there in the cage. Okay, the cage is a cage for the parrot. The actual living entity is the parrot, isn't it? The cage is to entrap the parrot in that cage. Is entrapped in that cage. Similarly, we the living being, the soul is entrapped in this body of 24 material elements. So we have to come out of this engagement. So this process will help us to come out of this engagement, and we can attain the spiritual abode. That's what Krishna explains here. To get out of it. So this is the means to get out of this engagement. So of all the descriptions of the process of knowledge, the most important point is described in the first line of the 11th verse. Mai Chaitanya Yogena Bhaktir Avyabhicharini. The process of knowledge terminates in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. So what is that Avyabhicharini? Okay. What is that verse? There's a verse. Avyabhicharini means without any other thought. Okay, just like Ananyas Chintayantoma, no other thought, without any alloy, without any dilution. So unalloyed. So the Avyabhicharini, the process of knowledge, terminates in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. So if one does not approach, or is not able to approach the transcendental service of the Lord, then the other 19 items are of no particular value. But if one takes devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, the other 19 items automatically develop within him. So this is what we have to, we have to take up the devotional service, bhakti yoga. We have to do bhakti yoga. We have to practice bhakti yoga. That is devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. Then only the other 19 items will develop within us. Otherwise, it's of no use. So all Srimad as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchana Sarver Gunais Tatra Samasade Suraha. All the good qualities of knowledge develop in one who has attained the stage of devotional service. So when we are practicing Krishna conscious activities, so all the good qualities will automatically be manifested in us. the principle of accepting a spiritual master, as mentioned in the 8th verse, is essential. So, to attain that, the most important thing is accepting a bona fide spiritual master. It's very essential. Even for one who takes to devotional service, it's most important. Transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna clearly states here that this process of knowledge is the actual path. Anything speculated beyond this is nonsense. So, practicing Krishna conscious activities or Bhakti Yoga, and to practice that, we need proper guidance, we need proper instructions, and for that, we have to accept a bona fide spiritual master, without which it is not possible, because on our own, we have limitations. We cannot, properly follow the instructions, because our limited senses cannot fathom what is right, what is wrong. So we may end up doing wrong things, thinking that those are the right process. So we need a proper guide, a proper instructor, a proper teacher, so that we go in the right path, we take the right process. So we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master. So as for the knowledge outlined here, the items may be analyzed as follows. Humility means, now each and everything, is explained. It's a very big, I don't think we'll be able to finish it. Anyway, for another 10 minutes, we'll read and we'll stop it. Humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. Tranadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnunam amanina manadena kirtaniya sadari. So this is humility. Okay, that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. In the material world, everybody wants respect. Okay, give respect, take respect. Now, this is the standard slogan: give respect, take respect. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Pranadapi sunichena tarorapi sahushna amanina manadena. Don't expect respect, but at the same time give all due respect to others. So that is humility. The material conception of life makes us very eager to receive honor from others. But from the point of view of a man in perfect knowledge, who knows that he is not this body, anything, honor or dishonor, pertaining to this body is useless. Because a person, a learned person knows what is honor, what is dishonor. Everything that, that pertains to the body only, on the bodily level only. Okay, this honor and dishonor pertains to whom? To his body. So a learned person knows that, the futility of this honor and dishonor. So it is useless. One should not be hankering after this material deception. Now, after all, it goes for a few years. Okay, a lifespan of 50 years to 100 years max. Beyond that, so over a period of time, everyone forgets. How much ever he may be famous in this material world, after a few years, everybody will forget that person. So this honor and dishonor is temporary. It is only pertaining to his body, and it is useless. People are very anxious to be famous for their religion, and consequently, sometimes it is found that without understanding the principles of religion, one enters into some group which is not actually following the religious principles, and then wants to advertise himself as a religious mentor. So people, they enter into a group, and advertise themselves as religious personalities without knowing the in-depth meaning of religion. Religion, that which does not help to attain the Supreme Personality of God at lotus feet, love of God, that is not religion. It's not just some sect, just for practice some rituals for satisfying their bodily needs or anything. So as for actual advancement in spiritual science, one should have a test to see how far he is progressing. You can judge by these items. So how one is progressing, when we see all these qualities in a person, then we can know that this person is progressing in spirituality. All this will be there in the person who is following this, this humility and tolerance, patience, sense control, all these, whatever these items, given by Lord Krishna. So non-violence, what is non-violence? Non-violence is generally taken to mean not killing or destroying the body. That is a general conception. But actually non-violence means not to put others into distress. Okay. So putting others into distress, not just killing, is also violence. Okay. So non-violence means not to put others into distress. If you put others into distress by any means, even mentally, physically, intellectually, whatever means, emotionally, that is violence towards other living beings. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life, and they perpetually suffer material pains. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. So if you don't help others to spiritually progress, that's also violence. Now, to that extent, Krishna is telling. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. So as a fellow being, if you are not helping others to progress spiritually, that means we are doing violence to that soul. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they may become enlightened and leave this material entanglement, that is non-violence. So on a gross level, killing others is violence. But here, the violence, Lord Krishna says, even if somebody is not helping others to spiritually advance, that is violence. Tolerance means that one should be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. Again, taror abhisahishnana. Just like tree, how we tolerate all the seasons, irrespective of rainy season, summer season, winter season, whatever season, it stands there. And at the same time, it is giving shade and all other things to the other living entities, helping in many ways. Okay? So this is tolerance. If one is engaged in the advancement of spiritual knowledge, there will be so many insults and much dishonor from others, especially in the age of Kali. This is expected because material nature is so constituted. Even a boy like Prahlada, who only 5 years old, was engaged in the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, was endangered when his father became antagonistic to his devotion. So Prahlad, even at the age of 5, okay, small boy, he was tortured by his own father because he was practicing Krishna consciousness, spirituality. So in this age of Kali also, you'll find more people who will torture, those devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness. So we should have that tolerance level, because we know this is how it is constituted. This age of Kali is like that only. The influence of Kali is acting in that way. So we should be very careful. We should be more tolerant. The father tried to kill him in so many ways, but Prahlada tolerated it. He never complained, oh, my father is so cruel, this, that. He tolerated. Okay. He suffered a lot, but he tolerated. He never complained. And he never, shouted back to his father also, because he had unflinching faith in the protection of Supreme Lord Krishna. So there may be many impediments to making advancement in spiritual knowledge, but we should be tolerant and continue our progress with determination. So there may be many, trying situations, difficulties, hardships, stumbling blocks on our spiritual path, but we should tolerate all these things, and we should continue, in a steadfast manner, in a determined manner, and we should not turn back. Oh, it is very difficult to practice Krishna consciousness. So let me stop. Whatever happens in whatever circumstances, whatever situation, we should be able to continue, intensely the devotional service. Hare Krishna. So I think we'll stop here. Please, Madhavi, please mark here. It's a big, all these qualities Prabhupada is explaining. So we will start from simplicity means. From simplicity onwards, we'll start next week. Okay. So I'll stop here. Then we'll, till they join 5 minutes, we can discuss. I'll stop the sharing here. Okay. And Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarubhesha, Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patidanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.